Hello everyone, my name is Johnny Guns Film Buff, and thank you Henry Mockingbird for having me be a part of this Son of Frankenstein video. These are my honest thoughts on Son of Frankenstein from 1939. As a fan of the Universal Monsters, the Universal Frankenstein series is my favorite. You can debate and argue this movie really is a follow-up sequel to Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein. They don't make any references to the first two Frankenstein movies. The Bride of Frankenstein faith is unknown. For 1939, a movie that must have been maybe one of the first early, third best movies in a series, which is very unheard of at the time. Normally when it comes to third movies in a franchise these days, it's hit or miss, but this one is a big hit for sure. You can also make debate and argue this is a sequel or just its own thing. This movie also came out in 1939, which is a big year for cinema. The Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, Stagecoach, and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. So many great movies that year. I can go on forever. This movie has a little bit of German expression to it, like Caligari. James Whale did not direct this movie. Instead, it was directed by Roland V. Lee, who I'm not really familiar with as a film director. I don't know what other films he's directed outside of this movie. While he's no James Whale, he does do a good job with his direction for this movie. James Whale's movies have a dark sense of humor in his movies, whereas Roland Lee V isn't dark sense of humor. He's more in the serious tone. Lord knows what would happen if this movie was directed by James Whale. Who knows, this really could have been a follow-up sequel to the first two and stay the same tone with the dark humor like in Bride of Frankenstein. Basil Rathbone plays Wolf Frankenstein, who's the son of Henry Frankenstein. The villagers don't like him because who he's related to. Well, it's not really his fault, it was his father who created a monster and caused havoc to the villagers. Then again, like father, like son, Wolf takes an interest in his father's work on life and death, playing God, reanimating and bringing the monster his father created back to life. Basil Rathbone does a very good job in this movie. After bringing the monster back, just like his father, he feels guilty and regret bringing the monster back to life, honoring his father's work and legacy. But like in the last two movies, the monster's misunderstood. It's Igor that orders the monster to kill. But there's still no excuse for the monster murdering people. Despite Basil Rathbone doing a great job in this movie, Basil Rathbone was hesitant on doing this movie when he was offered the role. He was afraid of being typecast, and he said that he was not really a fan of the horror genre. But like any great actor like him, he gives it his all no matter the material. Bela Lugosi as Igor steals the show of this movie. This is another one of Lugosi's great performances right up there with Dracula. For 1939, he should have been nominated for an Oscar for this movie. As a kid watching it, I never knew or realized that was Bela Lugosi in this movie as Igor. He's not really recognizable. I always loved the scene when he first meets Wolf Frankenstein explaining his background story, how he knew his father. One of my all-time favorite movie scenes. He's so evil, sadistic, mean, and ruthless, he has no remorse or guilt for his crimes he committed. He's like the devil that forces Wolf to give the monster life again. Igor was hung and his neck was broken. It's not explained this is the same character as Fritz from the first movie. Despite being a misunderstood villain, but he's one of the most evil out of all the other Universal monsters. He's the real bad guy compared to the monster. In case you're wondering where Mel Brooks' parody Inspector Kemp comes from for Young Frankenstein, this is the movie. When you watch Inspector Crow and Wolf play Dutch, you'll be like, oh, now I see the Young Frankenstein connection. Despite trying to stand up for Wolf Frankenstein, thinking that he's not like his father, but like any police officer, he does have his doubts, suspicions, and he's on to Wolf thinking that he could be doing the same thing as his father did. He explains a background story to Wolf on how when the monster escaped, the monster tore his arm when he was a little kid. It's nice to see Boris Karloff return one more time playing the Frankenstein monster one last time. In the last movie he spoke, in this movie, they don't explain why he can't talk anymore, but it doesn't matter. It's great to see Karloff as the monster again and give it his all. One of my favorite Lugosi-Karloff duo movies, right up there with The Black Cat and the Raven. Despite still being alive, he wasn't strong enough and was weak from trauma from a lightning storm. After being reanimated, the monster begins a murdering spree ordered by Igor, sending revenge on the people who hung him. Igor's that makes the monster mad and angry and upset that Wolf for killing his friend, friend, his only friend that he had. During the making of this movie, Boris Karloff's daughter Sarah Karloff was born during the making of this movie, and when Boris found out that she was born, he ran to the hospital while still in makeup. I've met Boris Karloff's daughter Sarah Karloff a few times, and she's a very nice lady. Despite going to horror conventions honoring her father's legacy, she's admitted many times in interviews that she's not a fan of horror movies. In 2018, I went to a re-release showing of Frankenstein. At that time, it was the 200th anniversary of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein novel, when it was first published back in 1818. Before the movie started, she did a Q&A before the movie started. During the Q&A, it was funny when she said, "I don't like horror movies," admitting that I'm such a huge wuss. Me and the crowd laughed out loud at her comment. Also, that was at a celebration of her father and Frankenstein. We also celebrated her 80th birthday, got free cake and wine, which was very fun and cool. In the Q&A, she also said that out of all of her father's work, that her favorite movie with her dad was 1968's Peter Bogdanovich's Targets. And she also said despite the rumors and rivals with Bela Lugosi, she said that her dad and Bela Lugosi were not friends, they did not dislike each other either, but they did have mutual respect for one another and got along alright. In 2022, I met Donnie Donegan at Chiller Theater. It's a convention in New Jersey where they have a lot of famous actors, actresses from classic horror movies, TV shows, or just movies and TV shows in general besides horror. October is their big month for Halloween for obvious reasons. This is where I also met Sarah Karloff a few times. He was a very nice, friendly guy. I asked him what it was like making this movie and what working with Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi was like. He said Bela Lugosi was a jerk because as a little kid, he mispronounced his name, accidentally calling him Mr. Bela Lugosi. He said Boris Karloff was very nice and was not afraid of him with the Frankenstein makeup on. And he said that Karloff could have been a stand-up comedian for how nice he was. I'm not sure anyone knows this. Donnie Donegan was the voice of Bambi in the original Disney Bambi movie. After a short acting career as a child, he had a career in the U.S. Marine Corps where he was awarded the Bronze Star. Now he's retired. His acting isn't too bad, but I get it why some people wouldn't like his acting that much in this movie, especially today's modern moviegoers. For me, I give it a pass because he's a little kid. Kid actors can be hit or miss sometimes. Both Donnie and Sarah Karloff signed my Blu-ray copy of Universal Monsters Frankenstein. After Igor's dead, the monster kidnaps him. Peter was lucky to survive like the little girl in the first Frankenstein movie. The way his father says it's like Robin Hood, and Basil Rathbone was in Robin Hood the previous year. On a brief note, after this movie, the Universal Frankenstein series was hit or miss. The Ghost of Frankenstein was one of the weakest in the series. Lon Chaney Jr., a great actor, was so stiff and flat as the monster. He brought no personality to the monster or arc like Karloff did. Lugosi's Igor wasn't as good or memorable as Son of Frankenstein, despite how weird it was with the swapping of the brains. Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, House of Frankenstein were decent flicks, little rebounds after Ghost. At that point, they made the monster to matching up with Dracula and the Wolfman, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe for its time. That was my honest review of Son of Frankenstein. Thank you, Henry Mockingbird, for having me be a part of this video. See y'all next time.